My sister sprayed hot water on my 3-year-old's face and claimed it was discipline. My mom's unexpected reaction taught my sister a lesson she wouldn't forget. The reason behind my sister's actions shocked our whole family. Months later, what my daughter said made my sister burst into tears. Hey Reddit, the noise my daughter made wasn't loud. That's what sticks with me. It wasn't the kind of scream you hear in movies that sends everyone into a frenzy. It was sharper, short, confused, panicked, as if her body didn't comprehend what had happened, but sensed something was wrong. I was in the living room folding laundry, half listening to the usual sounds of home. My 3-year-old had been happily splashing in the sink, singing silly songs like toddlers do when they feel secure. Then that sound pierced the air. I dropped everything. The bathroom door was ajar. Steam filled the air, blurring the mirror. Standing in front of my daughter was my sister, holding the detachable spray nozzle from the sink. She didn't appear scared or guilty. She looked annoyed. My daughter stood frozen by the sink, as if her body had locked up. Her cheeks were bright red, her eyes wide and glassy, her small hands trembling as if she didn't know what to do with them. She was crying softly, broken sobs catching in her throat, as if she couldn't catch her breath. I rushed over and knelt down. What happened? I demanded, reaching for her. My sister sighed before replying. She wouldn't listen, she said flatly. I told her to stop splashing. I glanced at the sink. The water was still running. Hot. Why is it hot? I asked slowly, my voice tense. My sister finally faced me. Because cold doesn't work, she said. This does. For a moment, I thought I must have misunderstood. You sprayed her with hot water, I repeated. She rolled her eyes. Relax. It wasn't boiling, she said. It's discipline. That word echoed in my mind. Discipline. I lifted my daughter into my arms. As soon as I touched her, she clung to me, burying her face in my shoulder, as if afraid I might vanish too. Her tiny fingers gripped my shirt painfully tight. Her whole body trembled. I could still feel warmth on her skin through her clothes, not enough to burn, but enough to shock and scare her, enough to teach her a lesson she shouldn't have had to learn. She's 3, I said, my voice shaking. My sister crossed her arms. That's when they learn the fastest. A cold feeling spread through my chest just as my mother walked into the bathroom. She paused just inside the doorway, taking in the scene slowly, her gaze moving from my sister to the sink, and then to my daughter shaking in my arms. For a brief moment, hope flickered inside me. Surely this will be the turning point. Instead, my mother calmly asked, what did she do? I felt my stomach drop. She was being loud, my sister replied. She didn't listen when I told her to stop. My mother nodded slightly. Well, she said, kids need consequences. I stared at her. She sprayed her with hot water, I said louder now. That's not discipline. My mother sighed, the same way she always had when I pushed back. You're overreacting, she said. You've always been too sensitive. I looked down at my daughter. She had gone quiet, too quiet. Her eyes darted around the room, trying to anticipate what would hurt next. That's when it clicked. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't just a bad moment. This was normal for them. I carried my daughter out of the bathroom without another word. No one stopped me. No one followed. No one apologized. That night, she wouldn't let me turn on the sink. When I tried to wash her hands before bed, she screamed and pulled away. When water splashed near her face, she flinched, breaking my heart. I sat beside her bed long after she fell asleep, watching her chest rise and fall, replaying the scene in my mind. Slowly, painfully, I began to see things differently. I recalled other moments, my sister snapping at kids who weren't hers, my mother brushing off harshness as tough love, discomfort always minimized unless it belonged to the adults. I realized something terrifying. If I hadn't been there, no one would have stopped it. The next morning, I confronted my sister in the kitchen. This will never happen again, I said. She laughed into her coffee. Don't be dramatic. I turned to my mother. If she touches my child again, I said deliberately, we leave permanently. My mother scoffed. You're threatening family over a little water. That's when the truth fully sank in. They didn't believe they were wrong, which meant they wouldn't stop. 2 days later, my sister said something that silenced the room. She cries too easily, she said. I was toughening her up. That was it. Not discipline, control. That night, I packed quietly, not angrily, not dramatically. I gathered clothes, stuffed animals, her favorite rabbit with a worn ear. My daughter sat on the bed watching me. Mommy, she whispered, her voice small. Am I bad? That question shattered something inside me. No, I said immediately, pulling her into my arms. You are safe and you are loved. For the first time, I understood something else. This wasn't just about my sister. This was about a family that had protected cruelty by calling it correction. What I didn't know yet was that my mother, who had defended my sister without hesitation, was about to react in a way none of us expected. And when she did, the truth behind my sister's behavior would finally be revealed. Because what happened next didn't just shock my sister. It forced our entire family to confront something they had ignored for years. I didn't say anything that night. I didn't scream. I didn't threaten. I didn't pack the car and leave in the dark. I stayed, not because I wasn't angry, but because something inside me was waiting to see what my mother would do next. The house felt tense the following morning. No one mentioned the bathroom. No one apologized. My sister moved around the kitchen, as if nothing had happened, humming softly while pouring her coffee. My daughter stayed glued to my side. Every time someone turned on a faucet, she flinched. That alone should have been enough. My mother watched all of this in silence. She didn't lecture me. She didn't defend my sister. She just watched. And that scared me more than her words from the day before. Later that afternoon, my mother called my sister into the living room. Her voice was calm, too calm. "Sit down," she said. My sister rolled her eyes but obeyed. I sat across the room with my daughter in my lap, her head tucked under my chin. My mother didn't raise her voice. She didn't accuse. She simply asked, "Why did you think that was acceptable?" My sister scoffed. "Because it works," she replied. "You raised us that way." The room fell silent. My mother's expression changed, not with anger, but with recognition. "You're right," she said slowly. My stomach tightened. Then she continued, "And that's the problem." My sister blinked. "What?" My mother folded her hands in her lap. "I did that to you," she said quietly. "I punished you when I was overwhelmed. I called it discipline because I didn't want to admit I was angry." My sister's smile faded. "I told myself it made you stronger," my mother continued, "but it didn't." She looked directly at her. "It made you cruel." I felt my breath hitch. My sister laughed nervously. "That's ridiculous." My mother shook her head. "No," she said. "What's ridiculous is watching my granddaughter tremble, because you repeated something that should have ended with me." My sister stood up. "You're taking her side," she snapped. My mother didn't hesitate. "I'm taking the child's side." That statement hit like thunder. Then my mother did something we didn't expect. She turned to me. "You should have left," she said. "And I should have stopped it when it happened." Her voice broke. "I failed both of you." My sister stared at her in disbelief. "You're acting like I abused her." My mother met her gaze. "You did." Silence filled the room. That was the moment everything changed. Not loudly, not dramatically, but permanently. My mother set rules that day. My sister was not to discipline my child ever again. She was not to be alone with her. And if she disagreed, she was free to leave. My sister did leave, slamming doors and calling everyone dramatic, insisting she was being attacked. But the damage was done. In the weeks that followed, my mother told me the truth, things she had never voiced before. How overwhelmed she'd been raising kids alone. How anger had seeped into her parenting. How she confused control with authority. "I didn't know how else to cope," she admitted. It didn't excuse her actions, but it explained where the cycle began. We moved out shortly after, not in anger, but in clarity. Months passed. My daughter healed slowly. She stopped flinching at water, laughed again, and felt safe. That was what mattered. Then one afternoon, months later, my sister showed up unexpectedly. She looked different, smaller, tired. My daughter was coloring at the table. She looked up when she saw her aunt and, without fear or anger, said, "Annie, are you still mad?" My sister froze. "No," she whispered. My daughter tilted her head. "Then why did you hurt me?" That was it. My sister collapsed into tears, quiet, broken sobs. She knelt down, shaking. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't know how bad I was." My daughter studied her and said something I will carry forever. "It's okay to be sorry, but please don't teach kids with pain." My sister couldn't speak. Neither could I. That was the end of it. No more excuses. No more pretending. No more justifying. That's how we were raised. Discipline is meant to teach, not to frighten. Pain doesn't build character. Fear doesn't create respect. When adults confuse control with care, children learn silence instead of safety. Breaking generational harm doesn't start with punishment, it starts with accountability. Sometimes, the smallest voices speak the greatest truths. That's all for today's story. Thanks for reading.